The Master Mason degree, death and resurrection ritual. Millions have experienced ritual death and rebirth in lodges worldwide. This is the ceremony that made Freemasonry controversial. Long before the internet age made secrecy nearly impossible, before leaked documents and whistleblowers became commonplace, one ceremony remained hidden behind closed doors for centuries, despite numerous attempts to expose it. The Master Mason degree, the third and highest degree of what Freemasons call the Blue Lodge, stands as perhaps the most elaborate initiation ritual in Western fraternal tradition. Its dramatic structure centers on enacted death, symbolic burial, and physical resurrection. The ceremony transforms ordinary men into Master Masons through an experience that combines theater, oath-taking, and carefully choreographed movements that culminate in what participants describe as profound transformation. What happens inside those lodge rooms has sparked theological condemnation, political scandal, and centuries of controversy. The ritual's documented history begins in 1723, though its origins remain contested. The earliest detailed English-language account appears in Samuel Pritchard's Masonry Dissected, published in 1730. This pamphlet represents one of many exposures, documents created by former Masons or opponents of the fraternity attempting to reveal what transpired behind lodge doors. These exposures, combined with official Masonic ritual manuals that vary by jurisdiction but maintain the same essential structure, provide comprehensive documentation of a ceremony that has remained remarkably consistent across 3 centuries. The degree's narrative framework centers on Hiram Abiff, a figure described in Masonic tradition as the master architect of Solomon's Temple. According to the legend enacted during the ceremony, 3 fellow craftsmen approach Hiram at different entrances to the temple, demanding the Master Mason's secret word before completing their work. When Hiram refuses each demand, the 3 men attack him. The first strikes his throat with a measuring instrument. The second strikes his chest. The third delivers a fatal blow to his forehead. They bury his body and mark the location with a branch. The candidate entering the Master Mason degree becomes Hiram Abiff. He does not merely hear the story or watch its enactment. He physically experiences it. 3 lodge members, representing the 3 assailants, approach him at key moments during the ceremony. They make demands. They strike him symbolically. The candidate falls to the floor of the lodge. He lies there, flat on his back, covered symbolically in representation of burial. He remains in this position, experiencing symbolic death, while the ritual continues around him. The theological implications of this enacted death have generated intense scrutiny from religious authorities across denominations. Pope Clement XII issued in Eminenti in 1738, the first of many papal condemnations of Freemasonry. The document cites the fraternity's secret oaths and religious content as incompatible with Catholic teaching. Cardinal Joseph Ratzinger, who later became Pope Benedict XVI, issued a declaration in 1983 reaffirming the Church's position that Catholics who join Masonic lodges exist in a state of grave sin. The Master Mason degree's death and resurrection drama features prominently in these theological evaluations. Protestant critics have proven equally vocal. Charles Finney, a prominent 19th-century evangelist, published The Character, Claims, and Practical Workings of Freemasonry in 1869. His analysis describes the Master Mason degree as a blasphemous parody of Christian resurrection, arguing that the ceremony appropriates sacred religious imagery for fraternal purposes. Finney's work joins a substantial body of anti-Masonic literature that identifies the degree's dramatic content as its most theologically problematic element. The oath sworn during the Master Mason ceremony has generated particular controversy. The candidate places his hand on the Holy Bible and swears to keep the degree's secrets. The traditional penalty clause specifies consequences for breaking this obligation: having the body severed in 2, the bowels removed and burned to ashes. This language appears consistently across ritual exposures from the 18th century through the 20th. The question of whether these penalties represent actual threats or purely symbolic language has sparked debate within the fraternity itself. The Morgan Affair of 1826 brought this question into stark relief. William Morgan, a Mason from Batavia, New York, announced plans to publish an exposure of Masonic rituals. He disappeared in September 1826. A body recovered from the Niagara River the following year was identified by some as Morgan, though the identification remained disputed. The incident triggered a massive anti-Masonic movement across the United States, with the penalty clauses of Masonic oaths cited as evidence that the fraternity would enforce its obligations through force. The political party that emerged from this movement, the Anti-Masonic Party, became the first third party in American politics, running a candidate for president in 1832. The United Grand Lodge of England revised the penalty clauses in 1986, clarifying their symbolic rather than literal character. This revision itself generated controversy among traditionalist Masons who viewed the change as capitulation to outside pressure and a dilution of the degree's historical authenticity. Other Masonic jurisdictions followed with similar revisions, though the timing and extent of changes varied significantly by location and governing body. The ceremony's climactic moment occurs when the candidate receives resurrection from symbolic death. The worshipful master, the presiding officer of the lodge, approaches the candidate lying on the floor. He extends his hand using what Masonic tradition calls the lion's paw grip. This specific handshake, combining particular finger positions and pressure points, serves as one of several modes of recognition between Master Masons. The worshipful master uses this grip to physically raise the candidate from the floor. This moment, the candidate being lifted from symbolic death to symbolic life, represents the degree's central transformation. As the candidate rises, he receives the Master Mason's word through whispered exchange. The word itself, revealed only during this moment, serves as a password allowing Master Masons to identify each other in circumstances where visual recognition proves impossible. The combination of physical raising, whispered word, and secret grip creates what Masonic sources consistently describe as the degree's most emotionally powerful experience. The degree's structure follows principles identified by scholars of initiation rites. Mircea Eliade, the Romanian historian of religion, documented patterns of symbolic death and rebirth across cultures and traditions. His work identifies the Masonic Master Mason degree as a prominent Western example of initiation ceremonies that mark transitions from one social identity to another. Victor Turner, the British anthropologist, analyzed what he termed liminal states, the in-between moments during rituals when participants exist neither in their former identity nor their new one. The candidate lying on the lodge floor, symbolically deceased, occupies precisely this liminal space. The degree's influence extends beyond lodge walls. An estimated 50 to 100 million men have experienced the Master Mason degree over the past 3 centuries, making it one of the most widely administered initiation ceremonies in recorded history. 14 United States presidents underwent the ceremony. George Washington received burial with Masonic rites, with fellow Master Masons performing the rituals at his graveside. Benjamin Franklin, serving as Grand Master of Pennsylvania, oversaw the degree's administration to numerous candidates. Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart incorporated Masonic symbolism and structure into the Magic Flute, an opera that mirrors initiation themes directly from the degrees he experienced. The ritual's content has been completely public for decades. Full ritual texts exist online, in published books, in academic studies, yet men continue to seek the degree. They enter lodge rooms knowing exactly what will occur. They lie on the floor, experiencing enacted death, despite having read detailed descriptions beforehand. This paradox, that complete disclosure has not diminished the ceremony's impact, suggests something beyond mere secrecy drives the degree's continued power. The ceremony operates through participation rather than revelation. Reading about symbolic death differs fundamentally from experiencing it. Lying on a lodge floor, hearing the narrative of betrayal and violence enacted around you, waiting in enforced stillness for resurrection that will come through another's hand. This physical and emotional experience creates memories and bonds that written descriptions cannot replicate. The degree transforms knowledge into experience, abstraction into embodiment. The Master Mason degree continues in lodges worldwide in the 21st century. Men still take the oath, still undergo the enacted assault, still experience raising from symbolic death. The ceremony's persistence across 3 centuries of social change, technological advancement, and cultural transformation demonstrates its capacity to generate the meaningful experience its 18th century designers intended. Whether viewed as profound spiritual initiation or controversial theatrical performance, the Master Mason degree remains one of the most documented yet least understood rituals in modern practice. If you found this case compelling, subscribe to Vanishing Roads for more documented paranormal investigations from around the world. This story was created with AI assistance based on documented case files. All events reference real investigations and reported incidents.